Okaeri, welcome back to my channel, May Between the Pages. My name is Taylor, and today we're going to be doing my February TBR. Now you may notice that the background is a little bit different here because I was able to get a new bookshelf, which I am so excited for. I have, for the first time in my life, I'm able to display my collection just like in my living room, and it's wonderful. I'm so happy about it, but I'm still kind of figuring out how I want to set my shelves up and how I can film in front of them. So this may not be the most aesthetically pleasing background right now, but I'm working on it, so look forward to that in the future. But for now, let's go ahead with the February TBR. If you're not aware, this year on my channel, I decided to start a challenge where I would read all of my physical TBR, or as much of the physical TBR that I have in Japan as I can. In order to accomplish that on my channel this year, I've decided to put all of the physical books that I own, I wrote them down on pieces of paper, and put them in this jar here. Ooh, top always falls off of this. So every TBR video, I will be pulling out 2 books from here to make my way through my physical TBR every month. However, before we pull 2 new ones, I have one from last month that I did not finish, that I think everyone can guess the book that I didn't finish that I pulled from this last month. Go ahead and leave your guesses down below. Perfect timing. Heater. I feel like this happens in more videos than it should. Are you done? It's always way longer than it needs to be. I hope you've paused the video, gone down and made your predictions, but the book that is left over, to the surprise of, I'm sure, of absolutely no one, is Moby Dick by Herman Melville. Now, I did start this, and by start this, I mean I read the introduction of this, because this edition of this book has introductory, information or materials that go up until, oh my god, not even yet, up until this page. So all of this is introductory material, which is helpful because it helps, put this in a historical context and understand, where Henry Melville was growing up and who he had, connections to and all of that. But the actual story doesn't start until page 27. So I finished the introduction. So props for that. I'm not going to promise that I'm going to finish this in February because this was just a monster to pick in January, but I do plan to read, 200-page sections like I used to do in university when I had to read a lot of classics. I do plan to break it up into chunks. I think I'm going to put tabs in the top and slowly read this over the next couple months. So this one's probably going to be on the next couple TBRs because, if I'm being honest, I own this book and I really like these editions. I think they're the Barnes & Noble Classics. I really like the way they look on the shelves. I have a couple of them. But this is a book I want to have read, but it's not a book that I want to read. Does that make sense? But I'll keep you updated on the progress. So this is on my TBR for February to at least read, I don't know, at least a third of it. I definitely hope to get through at least that this month. Okay, now let's pull 2 new books from my jar behind me here. All right, let's see what I get this month. Last month I got a nonfiction and Moby Dick out of all of the fantasy that's in here. So let's see. This month I will be reading, 1. Let's go to the bottom here, 2. Okay, this month I will be reading A Promised Land by Barack Obama. I have my shelves here. I can actually get it easily. Let me get that from my shelves. Hold on a sec. Look, I'm laughing because this is massive. It's so heavy in my hands right now. How many pages is this? Holy shit. This book is 701 pages. And the writing is this big. Obama, why would you do this to me? Thanks, Obama, for this new TBR. God damn. I want to read this book, but this TBR jar is all this fantasy you have, the 90% fantasy you have, let's give you all of the 10% that is not that. Well, I guess I'll be reading A Promised Land by Barack Obama, and maybe this is the universe telling me to get my shit together, because I have gotten this from the library like multiple times with the intention of reading this, like dual reading it with audio and reading this physical book, and then my hold keeps lapsing and I return it. So maybe this is, you know, the universe being like, Taylor, fucking read this book. So, all right, A Promised Land by Barack Obama. And let's take a look at the second one. The second one, no. Oh my God, the second one is William Faulkner, Collected Stories. You are shitting me. This is one of the other like Barnes & Noble editions maybe that I have. Did you see the dust come off of that? Oh my God. So I wanted to get into William Faulkner because I read like, I think a poem or short story at one point that I really enjoyed. So I bought this like collected stories edition of his books. I started reading it. There's the receipt. That was my bookmark. Clearly I didn't make it far. Are you kidding? What is up with this TBR jar is trying to kill me. So far from the TBR jar alone, I have this book, and this book. Look. This TBR jar is trying to kill me. Okay, I'm gonna have to make some kind of compromise here where I read, it's like a collected stories, so I have to look at like how many stories are in here, and if I can separate it kind of like I'm doing with Moby Dick to read a certain number of stories or a certain number of pages a month, I think I can make my way through this. Oh my God. Well, here we are. Here we are, kids. I'll figure it out. I don't have to read all of these two. I'm gonna try to read all of this one, but these two I'm gonna have to separate because I'm also doing a classics challenge on my channel, which I'll get into in a second. So I'll be reading other classics and like, I'll figure it out. So I said that I would talk about the other classic that I'm reading, but I forgot to. So essentially on my channel this year, I'm doing a classics challenge where every month I'm going to be reading a classic. Some of them I will be buddy reading with Yolene over on Yolene Reads. Some months we'll be doing, separate things. For January, we read The Picture of Dorian Gray, and a couple other booktubers actually joined in on the read along. We will hopefully be doing a live show for that. But for February, I will be reading Pride and Prejudice. So if anyone is interested in joining in reading this book with me, let me know in the comments down below. It's very casual, no strict timelines or anything like that. But I think one of the joys of classics is being able to talk to them or talk to people about them. So I'm really excited to finally read some Jane Austen, never have before. So let me know if you're interested down in the comments down below. Okay, well, after that absolute disaster from a jar, let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the physical books that I want to read this month. This first one you've seen an embarrassing number of times, and this is like the priority, the top priority for this month. It will be done, and that is Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. So I'm sure that my wrap up is going to go up soon. I was really happy with a lot of the books that I got done in January, but this book got pushed to the wayside yet again, and I haven't made it like the priority since I put it on TBR. So that is this month's. It is the priority because I'm not lying when I say I like this. I know at this point it probably seems like I'm lying because I keep saying I want to continue on with this trilogy and I just don't. But I think it's because I have it, so it feels like I can always read it. I really do want to continue with this 100%. So this is, like I said a million times so far, the priority, and I will be getting it done this month. The next book I want to read physically is very different from the ones that I've shown so far, and I think it'll be a nice like palate cleanser, something to enjoy in between, and that is The House with Chicken Legs by Sophie Anderson. Now this beautiful, stunning, amazing edition was sent to me by the lovely Leanne over on Leanne Reads. If you don't follow her, if you don't watch her content, please go check her out. I will have her linked down below and up above, or at least on the screen somewhere in the cards, for you to go check out her channel. She was just absolutely lovely and wonderful and sent this to me as like a Christmas, like holiday gift. And I've had this on my wish list for a while. I've wanted to give Sophie Anderson a try for a while. I can't stop looking at the cover. You see me doing this because it's just so beautiful. Other books by her would be The Girl Who Speaks Bear and The Castle of Tangled Magic. I'm looking on the back at the covers here. I've seen both of them around, including this one as well, and she seems to be just a really whimsical, good for your heart, like middle grade author, and I'm really excited to give her a try. All I know about this book is it's a middle grade based on the Baba Yaga like story, so it's like a witchy house that has legs that can move around. I loved Howl's Moving Castle so much, and now I'm kind of interested in anything that has a house that can move on its own. Like I feel like I've suddenly, you know, have an interest in those types of stories, so I'm very excited to get to this one, and thank you once again to Leanne for being just a wonderful person. This last book on the physical portion of my TBR, I actually don't have physically yet, but according to Amazon, I should be getting it tomorrow. So I wish I had it to like hold up on the camera right now, but I don't. But that is Conqueror's Blood, the second book in the Gunmetal Gods saga. I recently participated in a live over on Steve Talks Books channel with Lana from Lore and Lullabies, as well as P.L. Stewart, who's also a self-pub author himself of A Drowned Kingdom. We all got together to talk to Zamil Akhtar, who is the author of Gunmetal Gods, and that's the first book in this series, and all of us adored it. We love it so much. I think I'm going to do an individual review on my channel in the future, so look forward to that. But it is a self-published book that I just think that everyone should get their hands on and they should read. There are so many amazing themes in it. There's so many different like gray characters wrestling with things, and as a reader it makes you wrestle with those things. If you want to go more into detail or hear our thoughts on it, I will link the live from Steve's channel up above and down below. The first part of it is spoiler free, and then it's very clearly marked when spoilers begin. So if you want to hear more from Zamil himself about, you know, parts of the book and why he wrote them that way, as well as some questions we had for him that are spoiler free, please go check that out. But I really loved this book, and then after talking to the author himself, I'm even more excited to go into the second book. So I will be continuing on with Conqueror's Blood this month. Like I said, I've purchased the books, they just haven't arrived yet. They will arrive tomorrow, so that is part of my physical TBR. I just realized that I didn't like tell you what it was about, so let me go ahead and do that real quick. But essentially, Gunmetal Gods follows two main characters. We follow Kiva and Micah. Micah is a religious zealot who has carved out a life as a conqueror, and he leads his army with like the fires of faith, essentially. Then you follow Kiva, who is this like washed up hero. So he was a hero in the past, and he's one of the most famous fighters from his country. But you know, life happened, trauma happened. Things are not easy after you take, you know, part in many battles. And we enter the story where Kiva is basically washed up, but gets called back to do something for his Shah. Zamil has said that the major motivation for this was, what if Game of Thrones took place in the Middle East? And he just like ran with that idea and has now written this amazing book. So if that sounds interesting to you, the politics are brutal, vicious, just I need to take a walk after a specific scene. I needed to walk it off. So it's very brutal, very vicious, does not shy away from what war actually is. But there's a lot of in-depth character work done with, like I said, with the great characters, with religion as a structure in society and the power that it can hold. There's just a lot of themes running through this book. So I loved it. I've gone on about it for long enough now. But yeah, the second book in this series will definitely be on my TBR for this coming month. Moving on to non-physical books, I think I've fallen off of my non-fiction reading a little bit, so I'd like to get back into that this month, although with The Promised Land I'm back on it. But the one I'd already chosen for this life was Wayward Lives, Beautiful Experiments, and I do think there's an addendum to the title that's a bit long, so I'm going to read my notes. It is intimate histories of riotous Black girls, troublesome women, and queer radicals, which just sounds so interesting. I've seen a lot of reviews for this book that it's very well researched and that it, you know, brings things to light that many people didn't know happened, or people in history that you didn't know existed. And I love when books do that. So this is on my TBR for this month. I also plan to read Dead Until Dark and Living Dead in Dallas, the first and second book in the Sookie Stackhouse series. Deidre from Shade Tree Reads started her read-along in January for this series, and I did fully plan to join in the read-along, but I failed miserably and did not finish the first book in time. So I plan to catch up this month. These, I think, are going to be pretty quick reads. I think they're both under like 300 pages. They're a bit more, just page turners than some other books I have on this TBR. So I do think that I can get through both of these this month, no problem. And I plan to catch up in order to join the live show later this month. I have a couple more books. Look, I choose violence every month. Okay, we know this. We know that it's not a TBR for me if it's not overly ambitious. So I just have a couple more here. The next one is continuing on from last month, and that is Taaqtumi, which is an anthology of horror. I think it's indigenous. It's indigenous voices horror, and I'm very interested to get to this. I just didn't last month, but my interest is still very much piqued. I still have it downloaded, so I'd like to carry this over from January, and fingers crossed I can get to it. It's not that long, so I think that I could definitely manage this one. The next book is A Cry to War, which I actually heard about from TB over on TB K.N's channel. So I'll have him linked down below. Please check him out. He does really wonderful videos highlighting less hyped, less known books that you should put on your radar. And I actually got this book from one of his videos. And I don't remember the details. I remember when I heard him describe it, I was like, oh, that sounds like something I'd like. The only thing I really remember is that it's like warring nations, and it's like a grimdark fantasy, and I believe it is an African-based fantasy. But I'm just in the mood for grimdark warring nations, and a lesser-known book. Hey, I've been getting into that recently. It just sounds like something I'd really enjoy, so I've gone ahead and put this on my TBR for this month. And the last book is Children of Ruin, the second book in the Children of Time duology. So I've been meaning to finish this duology for ages, and I just haven't picked up the second book. I have literally zero reason why. Children of Time made my top 10 books of the year. Not top 10, I did top 20. Top 20 books of the year. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, it's just off frame. But Children of Time is just over there, and it talks about like giant sentient spiders. It's awesome. So the second book is supposed to, or from what I understand, has the same concept but with octopuses. And actually, you might be able to see it behind me. I have this book here. Let's not knock over the Hobbit. Can we do it? Oh, we did it. Okay. This book here, The Soul of an Octopus, I read this at the beginning of last year. I loved it. It's a nonfiction that just talks about octopuses, and ever since then I've just found them so fascinating. So I really do want to get to Children of Ruin. I think I'm gonna really like it. So that is also on my TBR for this month. Basically, in summary, all of these are chunkers. My TBR jar hates me, and there's no way I'm gonna finish all of these. Let me know in the comments down below, as always, if you've read any of these, if you have faith in me and you think I can actually get these done. If so, you have more faith in me than I do. And I'd just love to chat, as always. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that bell. I'd love to have you as part of this community, and I appreciate it. But for now, I'm gonna head out. Jane!